Hello, friends. My name's host Eric, and I'm here to inform you of the good news. It's a piece of good news that comes back to reassure us of the goodness of things on a daily basis. Namely, with morning comes sunshine. And if you're like me, you know that sunshine is one of the most important parts of distinguishing day from night. Hi, like I said, I'm host Eric, and I just want to greet you again. I just want to say hello, greetings, welcome, good morning. It is so nice to see you. How do you do? It's a brand new day. It really is. It's a brand new day. It's another opportunity for you and me to be super gay friends. And what do we need to do to accomplish that? We need to start by appreciating sunshine. Sunshine is like God's own little bit of gaiety. He delivers a little bit of it to each of us every day, in the hope that someday maybe we'll be able to see. Naturally, God's still waiting for us to enable our eyeballs. The things don't just come out of the box working. They're not plug and play, you know. You got to be serious. You got to be serious about things, or else nothing ever is going to happen in this horrible, mixed-up world of ours. In this horrible, unspeakably bad, mixed-up world of ours. 4/17. Type. Can't. Yeah. About yeah. Without yeah. So if nobody shows up here in this stream and I have no chats to engage with, which is always possible, you never know when people are up and about. I do have a project of sorts that I can put into motion here so the time's not entirely wasted. I think I'm making a video basically called Can't About Without. Infj, Intj, Istj, USFP, ENTP, ENFP, ESTP, INFP, INTP, ISTP, ISFP, ESFJ, ENFJ, ENTJ, and ESTJ. Yay! All right. INTJ. Hi, Rain. Oh, you know, I do go back and forth. Sometimes I say I'm host Eric. Sometimes I say my name is host Eric. Sometimes I say they call me Questo Enrico. My name is host Eric. You know, the problem here, Rain, is it's not your fault. You thought it was 2 words, and it makes sense that you would. It's actually just 1 word. Hysteric. So it makes it a name. It's my Christian name. I was stillborn. The first thing they gave my stillborn body was hysteric. And then when suddenly I came back to life, they changed it to Eric. But I retained the host. Deep within my heart, where it belongs. So Rain, I'll share this little meow with you here. In case you want to look at it too. Editor. Copy link. Pew. Alright. Copy link. Oh, that's sexy. No. Here you go. It's this thing I've just started. So basically, it's like the Infj can't remember how to do stuff, so must be clear on what they want. ISFJ can't intuit about how to do stuff, so they must be clear on what they want. The INTJ can't remember to consider social impacts, can't complete tasks, so can't complete multi-step tasks, so must collapse to a singularity. That's what INTP should say. Remember to consider social stuff. So they must be logically defensible. So they can't 8 about 7, so they must 6. That's the whole idea of it, right? So they can't intuit social realities. So they must be logically defensible. ESFP can't ideate about logically. Let me put it this way. They can't determine if their ideas are logical, so they must attend to presentation and tone. ENTP can't determine can't act on can't act by can't take action because it matters. So they must figure it out. They must show that it matters to others. It's useful to others. ENFP can't take action because it's logical. So they must attend to presentation and tone. ESTP can't ideate so that it's useful. INFP can't take action about, no, they can't be logical to catalyze action. They must collapse the course. INTP can't use emotion to catalyze action, so they must collapse the course. No. Freaking goddamn it. ISTP. They can't use emotion to ideate. So they must refer to memories. ISFP can't use logic to ideate, therefore they must refer to learning. I'll put learning instead of memories. ESFJ can't figure out the single best way, so must try different things. ENFJ can't figure out what experience matters. So they must ideate possibilities. Infj cannot network about personal experience, so they must ideate possibilities. And ESTJ cannot network about ideas, so they must complete things. Or take action, I guess is another way to just put it. Okay. Now that thing is done. I think I'll do this thing. Make this one color like yeah. Make this one color like yeah. Make this one color like yeah. And make this one color like yeah. And then take these ones and go like yeah, and like yeah, and like yeah. Okay, good. And then these ones here, we'll make these italics. Put these in the middle and make them italics. There. That's beautiful, Eric. You did a wonderful job. You should be very proud of yourself. Well, basically saying you can't consciously, like for me, it's, I can't act because, based on what's most important. So I have to show, but based on what's important to me. So I have to show that my actions are important to others or useful to others. The way it plays out is, in actuality, if you ask me the question, what am I going to do later? And unless it's on a schedule, in other words, unless it's externally determined, I literally cannot tell you the answer to the question. And I might as well just be shooting in the dark. It's worse than shooting in the dark. I mean, giving you an answer makes that less likely to happen. The answer to the question, what are you going to do later, unless my time's already spoken for, is I have no idea. Because I don't know what I want to do, really. Beyond what I want to do right now. And what that means is that since I can't really justify what I'm doing by saying it's authentically what I want to do, I justify it by saying, okay, I guess I'll have to show you that it's useful. That's why it's countervalued. Because if we're talking about our back slot stuff, right? What I'm really trying to explain is why 6 slot is countervalued here, I guess. So like in ESFP, they cannot ideate but underneath a logical frame. whatever words they're coming up with, they cannot come up with them based on, sort of the law of non-contradiction. So what they have to do then, in order to get their words past the skeptical, is do a lot of FE buttering up of those things. But they don't like it because it's countervalued, because, they'd rather be FI. Basically because well, like I said, I guess I explained it enough. I think I'll make the video on it. I can do that while streaming, because I can record. Right now I'm not recording, I'm just streaming, but I can record and stream at the same time, Lordy Lord. Somebody's been coughing up their lungs these days. I suspect it don't be me. Lordy Lord. Will wonders never cease? Will wonders ever, never, never, ever cease? Probably not. If wonders were to cease, I'd wonder why they ceased. I'd wonder if this feast is now over. And nobody wants that. Hey guys. Well, the thing is, the reason I shouldn't do that, Sky Gear, I see what you're saying there, but the problem with what you're saying is to take action does not accept a direct object, whereas to ideate does, and that's why the pattern's different. Because you take action after you've decided something. That it's logical, okay, good, I can take action on it. That's your STP way. But you ideate about something. What's important, What is the least important thing in life that a lot of people focus on too much? And I switched 7th and 8th for ESFP. No, I don't think I did. 8th is 8th. So, okay, I'll make this video real quick. Hi friends, my name's host Eric, and I'm the host Talking with Fans People. Today I've got a great video for you. It's called Your Type Can't Do Meow About Meow, So They Must Meow. And that's why your 6-slot value is countervalued. Okay, let's start at the top. Let's move through this quickly. INFJ. They can't remember 8-slot SI, how to do stuff, 7-slot at TE, so they must be clear on what they want. In conjunction with their tool function, they can get it via dealing with other people. ISFJ. They cannot intuit how to do stuff, so they too must be clear on what they want. INTJ. Cannot remember to consider social stuff, so whatever they're saying must be logically defensible. But again, that 6-slot function, being logically defensible, TI in the 6 slot for INTJ, is countervalued. And the reason, of course, it's countervalued is because when we're talking about the necessary deficits that are implied by your dominant two functions and how those necessary deficits force you into your second choice tool function, basically. So, or your supporting cast tool function in the 6th slot. Obviously, if you look at, like, say, INTJ, they can't remember to consider social stuff, so they must be logically defensible, when simply showing that this is effective isn't enough, right? When their tool function is not enough. ISTJ, they can't intuit about those same social realities, so they too must be logically defensible. ESFPs, they cannot ideate logically, so they have to attend to how they present it in the tone. If your ideas aren't logical, but you want people to listen to you and take you seriously, then you need to be very careful about how you present it and how you approach those people. But you don't really want to, because your tool function is what you authentically want, not concerning yourself so much about what other people, how they're impacted and their perceptions and stuff. That's why it's countervalued. Okay, ENTP, take action. They cannot take action because it matters to them. So, in order to justify their action, they must show that it's useful to others. That's why TE is countervalued. ENFP, they can't take action because it's logical, so they must attend to presentation and tone, like ESFPs. ESTPs, they cannot ideate about what's important, so they must show that what they've ideated about is useful in some fashion, since it's not important. INFPs, since they can't show that it's important, INFPs can't be logical as a way to catalyze action. So they have to collapse the course into as small a course of action as possible and as clear and singular a course of action as possible, so the least amount of action has to be catalyzed. INTPs, they can't use emotion to catalyze action, so they must collapse the course for the same reason articulated. ISTPs, they cannot use emotion to ideate, so when they need to come up with ideas, they have to refer to what they've already learned. Same with ISFPs, they can't use logic to ideate, so when they need to ideate, they have to refer to what they've already learned. ESFJs, they cannot figure out the single best way, so they have to try different things. So what you're seeing there with the ESFJ is they can't TE 8th slot about NI stuff, 7th slot, so they must just do shit, SE 6th slot. ENFJ, they can't figure out what experience matters in a given situation. In other words, they don't know from experience what factors to consider. They don't remember really, and they don't think particular experience is necessarily very useful, so they have to ideate out all the possibilities. If you don't remember what your choices were, you have to come up with them again. ENTJs, they can't network about personal experience, so they have to come up with intuitive possibilities, extroverted intuition stuff. Since they're not telling their own stories in order to network, they aren't sharing personal experiences, they've got to be intuitively interesting. ESTJs can't network about ideas, so they have to take some kind of action. So their way of networking is attending the barbecue, making sure this goes off on time and that goes off on time and shit like that. And so remember, this yellow column is the 8th slot function, the green column is the 7th, and the pink column is the 6th. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. There, done. Pretty good, huh? Not too bad. Which one doesn't make sense? I mean, it's quite possible, you know. I just threw this thing together. It's not like I double checking isn't really my forte. So it is the case that I make mistakes. You will always have opportunities to go, that one doesn't make any sense, Eric. You fucked it up. And I generally assume when people suggest that sort of thing that they're probably right, but I have to have it explained to me before I'm really convinced. Your type the title is will be your type can't about so must. MBTI, typology, function mechanics, this is a little video that is intended to please people and perform well. Accordingly, it's a very lean presentation of information that perhaps deserves a somewhat more expansive review. Nevertheless, hopefully the gist conveyed herein adequately slakes your thirst for no nonsense NI style typological concision. There. Excellent work, Eric. Excellent work on your description there. You did a fine job. And I'm very proud of you. Thanks, Eric. You talk so sweetly to me. Well, you're a special guy. Why wouldn't I talk sweetly to you? I like you. And you know what, Eric? I like you too. When you're being cool like this. I know, I'm not always cool. I wish I were always cool in theory, but to say, yeah, ifs and buts were cocaine and sluts, logic class would be a lot more popular. That's right, that's what they say. And I know a lot of people ask me, Eric, who though? Who says it? And I explain, they do, okay? The people in charge. The people in charge. Who decided all these rules for grammar? Mr. Grammar. We got him invented grammar. That's who. Do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry? I didn't think so. Alright. What happens if I publish this video right now in the middle of this live stream? Maybe I should schedule it for later. I'll schedule it for 10 a.m. Because I have a... I'll schedule it for 9:45. Because I have a typing session at 10. So I'll end this before 9:45 so you'll watch that. No sit for me. Alright, there we go. Your type can't meow about meow, so must meow. That's what it's called. It's a good title. It's a good piece of work. Eric, you are one productive motherfucker, let me tell you. That's good stuff right there. Have you patted yourself on the back enough? Pat, 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 pat. Now I might have pat myself on the back enough. Let's see. But the grammar is RIP. ENTP can't take action about... Well, because the thing at the top of the heading isn't necessarily going to... there wasn't a word at the top of the heading that I could have put that would have been the correct preposition for all of the things there. Because sometimes you're talking about... Just stop your bitching, okay? Why do I put two spaces after a full stop? Because I learned about that when we had typewriters instead of computers. On typewriters, the standard was at the end of a sentence you put two spaces before starting the next sentence, not one space. And I've retained that habit. It's actually, there's no consensus about it even on digital documents. Either is acceptable. As long as it's consistent the whole way through. I always use two spaces. But yeah, I had actual typing class in middle school on manual, I mean, they were electric, but on actual typewriters. You know, I was in middle school in like 1983. They were just coming out with, well, actually they hadn't even come out with those yet, really, but you know, you're talking about the time of the first Apple II computers. I had an Apple IIe from late elementary school through until my parents eventually got a Mac. And you could do papers on that if you wanted to, but when I went to school in middle school, teachers did not require papers to be typed. You could handwrite them if you want. And most people did. And so, that included me. I never did end up, ever, I don't think, typing any school papers on a typewriter, even though I had typing class on typewriters. I just hand wrote until high school, at which point the printers were adequate. That, I mean, like the word processing program slash, I guess probably was better than dot matrix printers at that point, were adequate, that printing became easy enough and word processing became preferable enough to handwriting that I switched over, you know. So I never went through a period of time when I actually typed on a typewriter, even though I learned on them. The TI structures need to be anchored with NI, for example, in log. often the word reasonable is used, but the word is not further defined, simply left at that. In that sense, it's irreducible and requires pure knowing in order to implement, i.e., in order to classify something as reasonable or not reasonable. Well, and that links to the distinction between standards and rules. So, there are some kinds of matters about which rules are a better choice, but some matters about which require discretion. So in the law, what we try to do is more or less limit any individual's ability to dictate what happens by their discretion. And so one way we address this is we compartmentalize each of the various components of the law, the legal process, such that the various wells of discretion are checks and balances against each other, okay? But when it comes to interpreting law, judges have laws that either set rules or case law that establishes rules as criterion, or they're interpreting laws that require discretion to interpret, and or they have gotten case law instructions on discretion. So if you're talking about the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution that prohibits search and seizure, unwarranted search and seizure. So because the Supreme Court chose to broaden that to mean things other than it did. In other words, to make exceptions to the warrant requirement. Such like, for example, exigent circumstances are an exception to the warrant requirement. That's one of the least egregious exceptions, whereas probable cause is, in fact, a rather egregious exception. Probable cause, police are supposed to have probable cause to go seek a warrant. You know? And then in affidavits, they convince the judge that they do have probable cause to search this place, and then the judge issues the warrant. The idea that cops can act upon their desire to search without a warrant, and then later it be determined whether they had probable cause, then at that point you require judges to use discretion. You require them to use it either way, right? Probable cause is not a rule, it's a standard. And when you have standards, then that requires discretion. So what the law does is it tweaks with the amount of discretion different parties have to try to fix inequities in the system. Currently, the biggest inequity is that prosecutorial discretion plays vastly too powerful a role in the criminal justice system. Because prosecutors can prosecute pretty much at their discretion, and that means they can charge you with whatever they want. And because plea bargains have been ruled constitutional, you've got a circumstance where there's an unreasonable amount of discretionary power in the hands of one party at the expense of other parties, such that it's not balanced. And you can see the argument play out in things like mandatory minimums. What ends up happening is some highly publicized case of a judge using his discretion in sentencing, which is where discretion is most desired to have, right? Like, Your sob story has nothing to do with whether you're guilty of the crime, but it might have something to do with how badly we should punish you for it. So, historically, judges have had a lot of discretion in whether or not they wanted to adhere to sentencing guidelines. The guidelines for sentencing on this armed robbery is 7 to 10 years in jail or something, right? But the judge might say, all right, because of extenuating circumstances, namely that he was an ancillary party to this who barely knew about it at all, but who technically knew about it enough to be considered part of the conspiracy and was convicted by the jury, but is substantially less guilty than the other two parties who were also convicted. I'm going to sentence those other two parties each to 7 years in jail, but I'm going to sentence this guy who was remarkably less involved and responsible to just probation and time served. Now, depending on the circumstances, sometimes a judge exercising their discretion like that causes a massive uproar. And then we have this move towards mandatory minimums. In other words, let's get rid of judicial discretion because we don't like how it allows these kinds of things to happen. If we had mandatory minimums where every rapist always got mia and there was never any ability for a judge to use their discretion to punish the person less, then this would never happen. Of course, once we get rid of judicial discretion, then the opposite thing happens, and the judge ends up saying something like, "My hands are tied here. I consider this an absolute travesty of justice, but I am legally bound to sentence you to this ridiculous sentence. I feel ashamed of the criminal justice system and of myself for being any part of this, and I am terribly sorry, sir, this horrible injustice being done to you." And then you have those kind of circumstances. And then people say, repeal mandatory minimums. So discretion is an ongoing back and forth battle in criminal justice and the law. Where should discretion be applied? Where shouldn't it be applied? Who should have it and what should the scope of it be? Are basically the fundamental questions of governance. Like if it's a rule, like here's a rule, right? You have to be 16 years old to drive. In some sense, it's as fair as it can be. In some other sense, it's very much unfair. So, the reasoning behind you have to be 16 to drive is that if you're under 16, you're not mature enough to handle that responsibility. But if that's the reason for preventing Bobby from driving, then shouldn't we be evaluating Bobby on his maturity, not his age? But to evaluate him on his maturity requires discretion, whereas to evaluate him on his age only requires that we apply a rule. And because what is this saying? Okay, fine. Restart my phone now. I will restart my phone now. That's fine. I don't even have a problem with you telling me that, phone. I will obey your command. I will restart you now. So, okay, to get back to the question of do TI structures need to be anchored with NI, the answer is no. TI run amok. TI without NI is the way the Supreme Court has interpreted search and seizure laws, where you end up with this ever more absurdly parsed, ever more narrowly parsed distinctions that no longer meaningfully represent anything. So, and this is what happens when the Supreme Court uses basically FE instead of TI, okay? When the Supreme Court is acting very FE, sort of TE, but I'd call it very FE, these kind of things happen. There's a case come before him in which somebody's challenging his conviction because the jury, the cops based the search on a drug dog alert, and the person's case was, I can't question that dog. It's not a witness to anything that I can have access to. So it's not acceptable for him to say that this dog's alerting is the dog providing evidence about the whatever, right? Because I can't interview the dog. I can't question the dog. Alright, so here's what the Supreme Court ruled. The Supreme Court ruled it doesn't matter, despite a lot of evidence to the contrary, that in fact a drug dog alert does qualify as probable cause to search somebody's shit, okay? And then they realized that they had potentially fucked up, because they're also kind of aware that law enforcement will abuse whatever power it is given. And so then they made an addendum to it that basically in order to use a drug dog to get evidence from you, the drug dog has to already be there, happen to be there on the site with the cops who pulled you over. They can't make you wait and then call for a drug dog car to come. So in this instance, they're trying to balance competing interests. Whenever you hear the courts talking about balancing competing interests, what you're hearing there is the psychology equivalent of a lack of cognitive functions. In law, that equivalent is a lack of clarity about the role of the judiciary related to interpreting the law. And because of that lack of clarity, you end up with the courts interpreting laws to mean what the courts think it would be more practical for the law to mean, rather than what the law means. And then the problem with that is, even though it's a totally bullshit justification for that ruling in the first place, it sets precedent and provides justifications for future lower level cases that then guide those lower judges' rulings on things. The thing is this. At the end of the day, when it comes to stuff like drug laws, considering how fundamentally fucked up and stupid they are, we've kind of worked out at this point, we haven't always, but kind of at this point worked out a bullshit TE system that's pretty good. And the way it works is this, basically. You can get away with having drugs if you follow all the other laws and try to hide it and try to look nice or whatever. In other words, you can get away with doing drugs unless you look, act like, or are generally a big fuck up. So when I got arrested for drugs in Oklahoma, it was because it was my fault. I was doing everything wrong. I was taunting God. I was taunting my good luck, you know. Y'all read the thing you wrote? Sure. Now that I've been in CJ's stream more, Rain and everybody else, I recognize how important it is for me to read everything out loud. At least I will start up here, okay? I'll start at, I want to eat something indulgent like cake for breakfast. Well, somewhat, but the grammar is rip. Infj can't take action about because, yeah, well, you can't put the about in there. Eric White puts his spaces answered that. DTI structures need to be anchored with NI. For example, in law, often the word reasonable is used, but the word is not further defined, simply left at that. In that sense, it's irreducible and requires pure knowing in order to implement, i.e., in order to classify something as reasonable or not reasonable. Well, law was just an example. I was getting at the fact that words are functions of experiences. No. That's not correct. I don't know what you mean by that, but I don't like that last bit there at all. That's not right, what you just said there. Words are functions of experiences? That is wrong. For example, if you ask for the definition of a word and ask the definition of a word within that definition and continue indefinitely, you will either arrive at a word you already asked the definition of, which makes the definition invalid since using X as a definition of X is meaningless, or exhaust all possible words without understanding what the original word meant. This shows that definitions at their core rely on experiential intuitive knowledge. Well, okay. So, first of all, it is the case that you can't have meaning without intuition. That meaning and intuition are irrevocably linked. So, what I would say here is not that words are functions of experiences, but rather the alternative to experiences. Because the quality you're appealing to there that's inherent to words is that they mean specific things relationally to other words or to objects in the world, okay? And what you're saying is because they don't relate, because when they relate to only other words, then they don't have a concrete referent, that this means that at their core, they rely on experiential intuitive knowledge. What it means is that words can't talk about nothing, right? Words can't mean nothing without failing to communicate, without failing to be words and just being sounds. So, what I'm saying is, yes, it's true that identity and meaning are closely linked. Because identity may express, you may be expressing identity right now, but primarily identity is that which is enabled by language, because it enables you to link these various attentional realities beyond your natural reflexive capacities. In other words, you can learn things from people. You can understand things better with words. All of understanding itself is predicated on words. So, when you're saying all of language is predicated on experience, experience isn't predicated on language. And it is true that you can't have language without experience, because you can't have life without experience. But it's not true that all language is talking about anything that requires experience. So if I say and affirming the consequent fallacy renders an argument invalid, there's no linkage at all to anything concrete or experiential. We can't imagine a world, if we could imagine life not existing without experience for some reason, in which those words would still have the same meaning, because as it is, they don't link to anybody's experience. They only link to words. What I'm saying is, in a conditional statement, if after you affirm that the individual in the equation meets the criterion of the consequent of the conditional, if you conclude from that that individual is a member of the set that comprises the antecedent of the conditional, then you've committed a fallacy. So it doesn't matter what words you put in there, it attains the status of invalid. There's nothing linking to anything other than mapping shit there. This is purely words that are purely mapping words. When you say the word chair, the only reason I know what you're talking about is either because I've experienced intuited about a chair or experienced intuited about its constituents. Right. Well, that's if you're talking about a chair. But now use your same reasoning there with what I just said. Whenever an individual, now you need to know what an individual is, right? But the thing is, I could just say, if A, then B, and C is B, C equals B, therefore C equals A, invalid. Okay, having just said that now, what concrete things are you going to point to? Equality? It's just conceptually a thing, right? It doesn't exist. There aren't two things that are perfectly exactly equal in any regard, in reality. Conditionality? That's just a construct of language, right? And what? A? B? C? What are those linked to? The image of A, B, C? That's not anything concrete. That's just another way of saying it just links to words. I like this line of conversation, Rain. I appreciate you discussing it with me. Now look, you could classify everything as an experience. You could say, right now we are all having experiences. So if you want to classify everything as an experience, well then we need another word to distinguish between those experiences that require a real-time frame of reference, like jogging, and those experiences that do not, such as this. It's like, regardless of whether you like the terms, the reason I use experience and or impacts, those words, is they seem the least artificial. I'm trying to work my very jargony self. It's a struggle for me because I'm habituated to being jargony, and I'm a little Dunning-Kruger on this end regarding it. I tend to always assume people know more than they do, as does every expert in a specialized field. They assume that what's actually medium level knowledge is kind of entry level knowledge, and consistently overestimate how much random people know about their specialty. This is well documented in psychological literature or whatever. So anyway, I'm guilty of that, but I try to remember that and try to be less guilty of it. And I'm trying to make shit as more. I have a general, ongoing, slowly improving habit of making things more clear, less wordy, less jargony, and more linking to people's natural language, which means calling it the experience and communication rather than the physical and metaphysical planes, right? Those are the same things, but calling it, look, we've got experience and we've got talking. It's something that people can normally intuitively go, okay, I get the difference between those two things. If they want more clarity in it, I can say, well, if you're running to catch a frisbee and your goal is to catch the frisbee and it's a far throw, then you're going to have to run fast enough right now to get there in order to catch it. And whether or not you do catch it depends entirely on how fast you run and how well you catch, and whether you catch it. But if I'm trying to convey this idea, it doesn't really matter how quickly or slowly I say it within reason. I've got plenty of room to play anyway, as long as the idea I'm trying to convey is clear, concise, complete, and correctly made. The reason is because experiential stuff is real time, and communicative stuff is turn-based. When I'm saying all of this stuff, I'm pretending like you are all patiently listening and waiting for me to finish. That is not what's happening, of course. But that's what I mean by turn-based. How do people learn what if and then mean? Well, communication unlocks free will. So, basically, to the extent that people, or maybe animals, can engage attentionally with abstraction, then they are able to consider multiple possibilities and make somewhat informed choices by the process of considering those possibilities, okay? The more deft you are with language, the better you can consider possibilities. But the more you consider possibilities, the more you require an environment that's stable. If you're living in a river where you're constantly at risk from attack by multiple crocodiles and shit, then you need to be, if you're like a fish in that river, right? You need to be a lot more NISE and basically not at all NESI. Because, well, it might benefit you some to remember there's a hiding place over there that I escaped last time this way. At the end of the day, the river is churning in different directions all the time. Whether or not there's a predator nearby now has no, previous results have no bearing on current situation, right? So you need to stay in a constant state of awareness of the environment now, real time, and be ready to move and react real time. Which means you're not musing about some random shit like we're talking about right now. This is a very stable environment that allows me to stand here, or sit here, or stand here. Not, Eric, you're not standing. Why would you say that? That allows me to sit here and pontificate about shit, right? It means I am quite confident that I am not going to be subject to predation at any moment. If frequently bears were attacking me, and I had to at all moments be ready to get up and escape and run for my life, and if I didn't catch it in time, if I was a little late noticing the bear, that would be the end of me. Well, I couldn't get engrossed in saying all of this stuff as though the rest of the world waits for me to finish, because it's turn-based, right? I would be dead. So, the thing is, what am I explaining? Well, how do people learn what if and then mean? Well, the way that people, quote-unquote, learn what if and then mean, how do they learn what anything means? They learn all language the same way. They learn it by hearing it and using it. Basically by being integrated into a flow of language that's all around them and fitting into that flow of language, which requires them to imitate, learn it. For any normal child in a normal environment, they're going to naturally learn to speak without any official teaching. So, when you're asking something like, well, where did we learn the words if and then from? The answer is something like this. I don't know where we learned them. It's like, it's hard to imagine humans existing without the concept, in other words. Humans and conditionality are mutually supervening. Each requires the other to exist. If you can communicate and you can consider possibilities, then at some point you're going to want to team up with this person here. And at some point you're going to want to say, I've considered two possibilities, possibility A and possibility B. And I think we should prepare for those two possibilities. So, possibility A, let's do this. Possibility B, let's do this. And then later on, somebody did what the guy says, possibility A, let's do this. So, possibility B, let's do this. And then guy X, he does possibility A. Even though it didn't happen. He does the thing that goes along with that. And when they go, what happened there? And the guy goes, well, you said Possibility A, let's do this. And the other guy goes, yeah, well, I also said possibility B, let's do this. Right. Sounded like you were saying choose one, right? Says the first guy, I am missing a word here. I am missing a word. Thanks, Lady Foxwolf. I have been working very hard. Hi, OKN. Hi, Elise S. I've already said hi to you. Hi, Rain. What was I just talking about right now? Something so important. I miss you so much. I have been missing the living fuck out of you. What you talking about, Willis? What was Willis talking about a second ago? Oh yeah, if and then stuff. So you can see there that Caveman A, Caveman Og, who's talked about scenario A, action 1, scenario B, action 2, has run into a conundrum when he tries to hold somebody to account. What the fuck? Why'd you do scenario A, action 1? You said scenario A, action 1. I did. How can I hold them to account? Well, what I meant was, if scenario A, then action 1. But if scenario B, then action 2. I additionally meant, if not scenario A, then not action 1. I didn't specify any of that shit, Caveman X, so I cannot blame you for taking action 1 and scenario A, even though scenario A didn't manifest. At no point did I tell you that action 1 was actually conditional on scenario A manifesting. So that's why I've invented these words. If and then. I hope we all use them from now on. It'll make things so much easier when we're making plans as evolving proto-hunter-gatherers. See, this is the weird thing, right? When we try to think about how do human beings come to have conditionality, we're struck with the stark reality that it's not possible for us to imagine something that's both human and doesn't have conditionality, or even something that's proto-human. In other words, it's not possible to imagine a human being that doesn't have a body. So too, it's not possible to imagine a human being that doesn't have conditionality. If you don't have the body of a human, let's say, it's not possible to imagine a human being that has the body of a penguin. It's equivalently not possible to imagine a human being that has the mind of a penguin. In either case, the creature in question is equally not a human being. The problem is, because there's this fundamental bias towards the concrete and the physical as being more real, people think that the body is more what makes you human than the mind. But that's simply not the case. Yeah. One cute human. That's all we need. One cute human. We're one cute human away from a bevy of bathing beauties. One cute human shy of a bevy of bathing beauties. I guess you really need to include of bathing beauties. What is the solution to the Los Angeles homelessness mental illness crisis? Well, Sir Thomas, as I've articulated in previous places, the solution is to federalize, to make Homeless Town. Okay, Homeless Town is obviously not a good name for it. I get that, but that's what I named it originally, and so now it's kind of stuck. I don't know what else to call it even. I just call it Homeless Town because that's the name of it. Anyway, Homeless Town is a single, centrally located, federally operated and run homeless town where so we switched directions here. No localities are permitted even anymore to provide any homeless services, to the extent that the federal government's going to take charge of it. They might as well take charge of it, right? So if you could do it real smart, you could simply redirect a portion of the vast sums that municipalities are now throwing vainly at the problem and direct those monies into funding this federal thing in some part. I don't want to give you a whole funding plank platform shit. I could come up with a way to do this that pretty much makes everybody happy. Now, granted, there are going to be some parties who say that's not appropriate federal jurisdiction, but the feds have already made it their business when they made an unfunded mandate to the states, to localities, not even to the states, to localities, that says you cannot move vagrants off of public spaces unless you have somewhere for them to go that's like a home, okay? So in other words, you can't move the homeless unless you provide them housing. So that's an unfunded mandate, essentially, to provide housing for the homeless that the Supreme Court, without any law from Congress, decreed upon the country. So, okay, fine. That's the Supreme Court ruling. That's what we have to deal with. What that means is that we have to federalize it, because localities will continue to have the same thing happening that's happening now. Anytime a locality tries to meet those standards and build a bunch of housing for homeless people, it attracts more homeless people, and they once again don't have enough housing. So, right now, the metropolitan areas of warm weather places across the country, but certainly on the West Coast, are overrun with tent cities and the like. The idea of Homeless Town is that you centralize all the services, mental health services, housing, medical services, whatever's being provided to the homeless, in one central location. Nobody's forced to go there, but the police will then be empowered to displace them because they have somewhere for them to go. Namely, I can't arrest you, but I can make you either choose to go to the housing that you're offered or move you from this public spot, maybe. The point is, or you could just do it purely incentivizing and saying, basically, we have no more services here, but we do have free train tickets to Homeless Town. Again, Homeless Town is out in the middle of BF nowhere, right? Away from all the other, as far away from any metropolitan area that we can get it. And it's easier to get transport into there than it is to get transport out, okay? It's designed to be a place where that population resolves things one way or the other. Either they get well because they're mentally ill, or they get sober because they're drunks. They get their place where they can sleep on the street because that's the lifestyle they want to live. They can do that in Homeless Town. They can get their free housing if that's what they want, or the shelters or whatever. They can get their soup kitchens and everything like that. Obviously, for people with with families who care about them a lot. Homeless town will hopefully be a temporary stop for a lot of people. But unfortunately, the nature of the world right now is such that you can't sustain yourself in a place, in a way, as a way of person, as a thing in the world, for very long, if your productivity trough dries up. By being productive in the world to other people, you make money, and then you can support yourself and live fairly comfortably. But the reality is, most people in the contemporary world cannot exactly get ahead, and if they for whatever reason lose that ability to bring in consistent good amount of money, they go from fine to homeless and remarkably quickly. What may have in the hundreds of years ago might have taken many years to degrade into that situation happens in a month or two now. So the speed of things is faster. It requires more responsible people. The consequences of shit that happens to people in the world are worse than they used to be. So it's like the cost of living is a lot higher, and the standard of living is higher, which is a good thing, but it also means people's expectations of what the bare minimum comprises are a lot higher. So for me to be comfortable, I don't just need food, shelter, clothes, whatever. I need internet, obviously. I need, ideally, cable TV as well, because some sports games don't stream well. I need, even though my internet's super badass, obviously I need multiple streaming services. Disney Plus, I don't really need, but Rachel likes this, that's fine. Discovery Plus, I don't really need, but I should probably get rid of it. But there's occasionally some good shows I like to watch on it, but it's not really worth me getting it. Netflix we need for sure. Crunchyroll I need. So, obviously I need to get cigarettes every day, and I need weed. I need coffee. I need indoor plumbing. I need regular baths or showers, or at least access to a bath or shower that I can use regularly. I need enough money to eat a lot of fast food, because there's going to be a lot of circumstances where I'll suddenly be super hungry and I just won't feel like making things. I need enough electricity to keep the heater going, and so in other words, it's expensive just sustaining what we're used to, because we're used to so much. Well, what you're used to, and it's my position basically that this stuff that I'm saying I need is basically stuff that makes my life better and makes my life good and happy. Now, it's not necessarily the case that I wouldn't be able to find replacement stuff to make my life good and happy if I were to lose these things. But I definitely, if suddenly, even though I spent the first chunk of my life with zero internet, if I were to lose the internet now for some reason, I'd be absolutely devastated. Like, let's say I got convicted of some hacking thing and the judge, part of my sentence was I couldn't use the internet for 3 years. I'd be absolutely devastated, because I understand this thing for what it is. People like to make these weird articles about, like, are kids addicted to screen time? The fact is, never before have there been two equivalent ecosystems. There's the outside world for people who like the physical ecosystem, and now we have an actual metaphysical ecosystem, which is what we're doing right now, right? The idea that, oh, that's a problem, and somehow that intuitives finally get their own ecosystem fairly is insane. The idea that they're addicted to it because they are where they should be because it exists now, whereas it didn't before, is ridiculous. But because people don't understand everything I'm saying here. In other words, the knowledge came before the word, as you just said. No. What I'm saying is that I was using that example, Rain, as ironically, okay? What I'm saying is that's not how shit happens, right? It's a chicken and egg question. It is not the case that cavemen said, scenario A, meow 1, scenario B, meow 2. And then that's how they learned the word if then. That's absolutely not the case. Because the point is, conditionality is not a reality of the world, it's a reality of the self. And so, when you're communicating realities of the self to other people, you're not linking to anything concrete, because they're not realities of the self that are biological. They're realities of the self that are attentional. So, it's like, these kind of questions are good, though, because they help show how it's not conceivable even that evolution is responsible for this. We do see human evolution, but it's on an intellectual level. It's not biological level. That's all really good stuff I just said right there. You're bringing good stuff out of me, Ryan. I don't always say a lot of times I say either just dumb stuff because I'm being dumb, like poo, or I just say jokes, or I just say, I don't want to talk about that right now. But right there, I just said good stuff. Grade A eggs, not grade D eggs like Rain eats. Rain, when you go to the supermarket, do you buy grade D eggs? Does that exist? It's like maintenance cat. Maintenance cat brand cat food. For when you need to maintain a cat. We have maintenance cat. My dad bought it for us from the grocery store. Maintenance cat? What the fuck kind of name is that? Like, maintenance cat. When you pick the wrong guy to name your cat food. Like, that. Who thinks that's a good name for a cat food? I guess the point is, some people do have to maintain a cat. Like, if you're working at an animal shelter or something, those people might want to maintain a cat. But it seems like so cold. Like, no, we're not caring for this cat. We're merely maintaining it. bare maintenance, okay? The cat gets just enough food to maintain it. It's not there, Eric, you silly goose. You know what, guys? I was being such a silly goose right now. Oh my god, I can't believe what a silly goose I was being. Sometimes I can be as silly as April 1st on a Tuesday in June. Here we go. This is the song everyone's been clamoring for since 1996, when it was first debuted by yours truly at the local hula festival in Laguna Beach. Those were good times we were having. I was laughing, you were crying, everybody was singing, it was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you get clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, such a fabulous old friend. Now it's wonderful kitty petting time again. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's petting time. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you get clean lines. But your wonderful kitty is a fabulousness I've never encountered before. And I know that I want to pet my kitty some more. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's bedtime, hooray. Imperfect, yeah. Not great. Not the greatest thing in the history of the world. And yes, I do expect everything I do to be the greatest thing in the history of the world. And it's reasonable for you to expect that of me as well. So, go ahead. Condemn en masse, all one of you. Because I deserve it. Because I failed. Failure deserves your condemnation. The only way I will ever learn anything is if I am taunted mercilessly for my every failure. Isn't that really the only way that anyone ever learns anything? I know. I'm Andy Rooney. Andy Rooney knows this to be true. Why don't you? Have you asked yourself that question? Why can't I, whoever I am, in this hypothetical, know everything that Andy Rooney knows? Am I not as smart as Andy Rooney? Not as deserving as Andy Rooney? Not as Andy Rooney as Andy Rooney? Not as fun and loony as Andy Rooney? What? Fun and loony? That's where excitement comes. Look at this mess on my shirt. Eric, you look like a slob. You know what this is? Pot roast. Pot roast from last night. I roasted a pot. And it came out, well, as you can expect, a little hard to chew. Doesn't matter how long you roast your pot for, never seems to get tender. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. What do I mean by need? That's a good like song lyric or something, you know? Girl, you say you need me, gots to have me around. But if that's what you call needing, then I'm a clown. What do you mean when you say you need me? Thus far you only seem to defeat me, and I'd rather not be the battle with she I am bedding down with. But you like to battle with just about anyone, I guess. When I say I need you, hear me true. It means I got to poke, and the one I'm poking is you. But you say you need me, I don't believe. You've got too much self-sufficiency. Shower thought. Little Red Riding Hood is unipolar. That's a good observation there, Sean. She's very gullible about the plausibility of those explanations. She's willing to accept any FI explanation, isn't she? Why are your eyes so big? Because I want to see you better. Why is your nose so big? Because I want to smell you better. Why are your ears so big? Because I want to hear you better. Okay. All that makes sense. All that makes sense. That you would be able to change your ears, your nose, and your eyes based on wanting them to be more effective at enjoying my company. Makes sense. But I'm still a little bit unclear here, Grandma. Well, what's with the big teeth? Well, it's because I want to eat you better. I'm sorry, did you say eat me better? Because you've never eaten me at all before? So, that's a very low bar. Anything's better? Or worse, too, I guess. Depending on how you look at it. Isn't it fun having different perspectives? How many of you think different perspectives are important? I do. about the things that you say, and that put me now in the minority. And I can't remember how to play this song. Once again, I find myself appropriately asking, can any of you ever consider in your heart maybe forgiving me for the abject failure I am compelling you to endure just by being here, since I insist on continuing it apparently? I am very sorry for my failure, and hope someday you'll find it in your heart to forgive me for wasting these precious moments of your life. I'm going to try not to fail this time. Maybe I will succeed instead of failing. Let's find out. Sammy has a story that need be told, and this is a song for an open road. Such a thing must always do its job. She married up Jeb and turned 19, 4 years in and 3 kids weaned, weary now and questioning the path. Agency outpaces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just oppression, making sure those underneath them always run. Dug at 20 thought bourbon fun, and likewise dug at 21, so forth well up into middle age. What once had seemed to set him free became his whole identity. Now Doug's about another drunken rage. Agency outpaces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just oppression. Offer you incentives, but they haven't got a thing that's fun. Everybody's panic about the kids. Lock 'em up with extra dexedrine. Mathematics to produce success, or impose more unjust duress. Agency outpaces discretion, locking in our courses, way too young. The urgency conferred is really just oppression, making sure those underneath them always run. Without consent, it's really just oppression by parasites surviving on their wages earned by lying. Well, they feed their fear of dying. Yeah, they feed upon the futures of the young. That wasn't terrible. It was better than terrible. Hey, guys. Hey. I think I might be able to get just half a beating today. We'll find out. I still have plenty of things to fuck up, so. 30,000 days, too many expectations, not even worth a damn. 30,000 nights to sleep off the intoxication, otherwise you won't escape the plan. I wasted half my days trying another's ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody knows the key? 'Cause I'm tired of doing it wrong. One direction and have all along. Wait until I know Or is that just hesitation? Clarity's no good once your chance is gone. What I need to show is a show below my station. I'm tired of doing it wrong. Wasted half my days trying on others' ways. Who can tell me my priorities? Is there anybody who knows the key? 'Cause I think I'm doing this wrong. I think I'm doing this wrong. I think I'm doing this wrong. Doing it wrong. I doubt I'm going to get an A in this class. I'm feeling getting a B already. You know, once I start getting a B, then it's just like, okay. I don't want to have to, like, try extra hard or something. Too much noise in the data stream. Loud enough to disrupt everybody's dreams. The frustrations mean mistakes are made until it seems everybody's just throwing shade. I won't be another casualty of other people's well-intentioned rules. I used to think that some tomorrow there'd be time for yesterday. Not the sort of thing that time can borrow. No one willing still to win the day. Uncertainty's implicit, just like an unexpected visit from a bunch of men all dressed in blue suits. I won't be another casualty of other people's well-intentioned rules. I used to think that some tomorrow there'd be time for yesterday. C plus? C maybe? C? Maybe? Eric, why do you suck so bad all the time? If Jesus was people but absent of sin, he must then have struggled with regular men and women, of course. When they too were present, disciples all warily eye in the lesson. If people were Jesus, they'd know as they think, and everything that would be true. And feelings once spoken would sit where they sink, and we'd all know just what to do. But people aren't Jesus once they're betrayed. Easy believing forever is lost. Maybe naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay a terrible cost. Does virtue require a rational take, or is virtue that's reasoned inevitably fake? Does musing itself just distract from the flow, or is care better served deliberate and slow. People aren't Jesus once they're betrayed. Easy believing forever is lost. Maybe naivete not to be saved, but the wise pay a terrible cost. The one you thought you knew acts like you never have met. The life you made for two has faded into regret. No one unshaken, we all have been shook, but being forsaken don't mean you forsook. Though in the past we've been hung out to dry, we'll find them at last if we're willing to try. People aren't Jesus once they're betrayed. The easy believing forever is lost. Maybe naivete not to be saved, but the wise pay a terrible cost. Maybe naivete is not to be saved, but the wise pay a terrible cost. That's a bitch and a half. Makes the back of my neck hard to sing in the upper register because it's so at the top of my register. I got a meow with a meow, and it's just like, okay, lost two meow and two meow, and yeah, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I really, how many people want to go with me to the Sasquatch orgy? I'm really not a believer in orgies, but when my friend Jebediah came up to me the other day and said, "Hey, Eric, would you like to go with me to the Sasquatch orgy?" I said, "You know what, Jeb? I think I would, but I'm having second thoughts. I'd like to go there and observe the Sasquatch orgy, but I'm concerned that I'm going to get roped into participating." What's the matter with Chad? Is he terribly bad? Is he baby like Dan, who's a terrible man? Is he sort of like Jill, who can't pay her bill? Or rather like Jack, too stuck on the facts? What's the matter with Sue? Will she know what to do if they bring attitude? Will she show ingenuity? She talks about you whenever we go walking. What's the matter with Bren? Is she living in sin? She's been hanging with Jimmy's looking terribly thin. What's the deal with Frank stealing fish from my tank? He's colluding with Hugh and they're talking to Lou. What's wrong with the ladies? What's the matter with men? From the feelings of Katie to the coldness of Sven, they talk about you whenever we go walking. Paths that lead to lesser days, paths that lead to lesser. Still spell out the overworld, still spell from the over. And whoever's left, it's still okay. Just tie the sails to the mast. Are you angry at Ken or Neville again? Don't bother with Kev, he's practically dead. Just focus on Bert, medium hurt. Quantity for Liz, did she fail a quiz? What's the matter with Drew? Will she know what to do if they bring attitude? Will she show ingenuity? She talks about you whenever they go walking. Paths that lead to lesser days, still spell out the overwatered past. And whoever's left, it's still okay. Just tie the sails to the mast. 'Cause each of us have much and great bravely send. Throw out the hands, stiffen the chin. Catastrophe looms heavy overhead again. Time's gone will never be again. They won't? Darn. I was wishing they were going to be again. Not really. Those times are gone. That's old news. That's yesterday's news and festerly bruised. Amelia, go from that place. Take unto you the details of your case. Amelia, when you rise up above, floating ahead and soaring like a dove, what will they say when they look at you then, moving sideways in the space you're in, and tearing sidelong with your thirsty grin? Amelia, can't you see, you and I will never be Amelia, yet just a free, with too much opportunity to leave out in the rain. Amelia, Amelia, we're watching you, there for sure, no matter what we do. Amelia, when you rise up above, floating ahead and soaring like a dove, what will they say when they look at you then, moving sideways in the space you're in, staring sidelong with your thirsty grin? Amelia, can't you see, you and I will never be Amelia, yet just a free, with too much opportunity to leave out in, too much opportunity to leave out in, too much opportunity to leave out in the rain. Amelia, Amelia, oh. A little bit of a alternate ending there to that one. Didn't necessarily work badly though, it just wasn't my normal idea. Oh, he came here, oh, he came here with her. And what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so sure it's not appropriate claiming to blame things on Scott. Despite getting caught, he's got you reframing for him, straining for him, going to the gym to make yourself good enough again. Yeah, you guys both have lots invested. That's not a reason to stay around. And through the years you've both been tested, and time to move up, find out your ground. Oh, he came here with her. And what's the big problem that you can't endure? You seem so sure it's not appropriate claiming to blame things on Scott. Despite getting caught, he's got you reframing for him, straining for him, going to the gym to make yourself good enough again. Be done with them. That was okay. Wasn't terrible. It was less terrible than the Holocaust. So far I'm getting a B minus today. But I was down to into the C's there for a second, so I'm not necessarily feeling terrible with that B minus. Maybe I can bring it up to a B. No, I'm sorry. I gotta regrade myself. I'm getting a C plus right now, not a B minus. Don't lie to yourself, Eric. You're getting a C plus, and you can't proceed without clear fixing that on the record. You've not earned a B minus so far. I'm sorry. You just haven't. You know it. I know it. We all know it. You're a C student today. C plus student though. Fine, C plus, fine. Have your plus if you want it. Go ahead, see what I care. Counts the same on the GPA either way. I don't care about the GPA, I want the plus. Well, that's fair. Then you earn that plus right now, Eric. El Nino, my ass. You call those storms. Where is the rain? Those drizzles don't count, I drizzle more. When I pee in the sink, which is just the right height to catch all of the undesired splatter. When I'm done, I'll go outside and climb a ladder. I will go up there and take me a bucket and pour water inside. And I'll say, hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom. Hey, Mr. Cloud, won't you drop it from the bottom? Hey, Mr. Cloud, drop it from the bottom on me. I got A minus on that. Don't be fooled and think that was an A. That was definitely not an A. It's kind of a generous A minus. What I'm doing here is I'm saying I'm not going to mark myself down for the fact that my voice is fucked up. So I'm just going to mark myself down for fucking up the song in some way, or just tempoing or whatever, you know. I can't really blame myself for my voice being fucked up. Because if I'm going to sing at all, this is the voice you're going to get. So, I'm grading accordingly. Given that my voice was fucked up, that's an A minus because I fucked up the transition a little teeny bit. Maybe it's a B plus. I don't know. I'm being too generous with myself this morning. It's a B plus. Let's try this one. Maybe I get an A on this one. You're living on a time frame I will never know. Alienation and humanity's soul. Imagine you a future after the collapse, returning to the urgency of isolated past. Picturing community free of metaphysics, hunting buffalo while you're picking bread delicious. Knowledge of the seasons, wisdoms of old. Fires blazing in the night to keep away the cold. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman. Imagining a history that never never could have been. You lecture at the college, advancement is a sin, lamenting disconnection, and every corporate act, asserting all your feelings and ignoring all the facts. Hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way of life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman. You find modernity just so banal. Wish you had been born any time but now, and your experience won't run afoul of exceptions you might allow. You visualize nobility sipping on some port, or tribes of peaceful savages and beautiful comport, but few of history's people ever thusly did cavort, 'cause life was solitary, nasty, brutish, poor, and short. Hostility is kept at bay, hostility is kept at bay by what you think is in the way, what you think is in the way. Life as children of the land, with an agave weatherman, with an agave weatherman. That was an A. I got an A on that. I can't really give myself any A pluses because my voice is kind of shot. So even though I said I wasn't going to mark myself down for it, it still wasn't quite an A plus, but it was a solid A. It's a good solid A on that one. I didn't fuck it up, really. Just a little bit here. Maybe, not even, I didn't fuck it up at all. I didn't quite nail it in some spots, you know. So good job, Eric. You got an A today on one song at least. How about see if we do 2 in a row? I doubt it, but you never know. No good comes from skating on with those whom you've mistaken for the one. Let's start this one over. So I've already I should lose points right there for that, you know. No good comes from skating on with them whom you've mistaken for the one. Habituated defense and indecency, self-inflicted eventually once your search is done. Driving in the car last night, we had a massive fight. Each insisting we were right and the other one to blame. So when both that's done, I screamed something awfully blunt. My words were as wrong as they were dumb, and I burned my share of shame. It's each of our own failings, not us doing the nailing to the wall. We fear so the others sailing off to reset their life and all. You can trust me and I can trust you, though neither trusts ourselves much true. The love lies deep between you and me, at least about that we can both agree. Driving in the car last night, we had a massive fight. Each insisting we were right and the other one to blame. So when you both that's done, I screamed something awfully blunt. My words as wrong as they were dumb, and I burned my share of shame. My share of shame. So B at best. B work. Solid B work. Not even solid B. 84, 83. It's like low B. Eric, you know why it's low B? We've discussed this before. Do you remember? Is it because I suck? Yes, that's it. It's because you suck. Oh, thanks for the positive reinforcement. What you don't need is positive reinforcement, Eric. You need a reality check. Stop thinking you know what you're doing. You need to practice. Oh, well, he's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, the friendliest guy that you will see. Yes, he wants to be your friend, but he comes from around the bend, and it will be a while till he sees you again. Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, he's a friend to you and me. He's International Delight's favorite go-to right-hand guy. He's international like him and also busy like his friend. Beaver bee, busiest creature, busy as a bee, busy as a beaver, and so much busier than Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze. Well, he's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-day. Yes, he's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-day. And if you go to visit him for starts, remember to bring something sour or tart. He's not a fan of sugary treats. He's Pucker Tart, not Pucker Sweet. Well, he's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, the friendliest guy that you will see. Yes, he wants to be your friend, but he comes from around the bend, and it will be a while till he sees you again. He's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, he's a friend to you and me. He's International Delight's favorite go-to right-hand guy. He's international like him and also busy like his friend, the beaver bee. Busiest creature, busy as a bee, busy as a beaver, and so much busier than Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze. Well, he's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-day. Yes, he's Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, shabba-doo-ba-day. Pucker Tart. B minus. If I'm being generous. I come from a country far across the sea, where all of the people are alright. That's why the people are always calling me the International Delight. I may not have a satchel, but then again I might. I may not have a satchel, but then again I might. And I'm unfailingly polite. That's why all the people, when they look up in their sight, they say International Delight. With his friend Pucker Tart, Lemon Squeeze, and his friend to the beaver bee, and whimsy Mario brings her contingent too. They and all their friends will do it all for you. I'm rarely irrational, there's no reason for fright. I'm rarely irrational, there's no reason for fright, though I am often in flight. That's why all the people, when they look up at a kite, say there's the International. May not have a satchel, though he's rarely irrational. The International Delight. I need to practice this song a lot. Excuses. You get an F today. Are you just gonna? You need an F. You need an F. And you need to just sit in your room and fucking cry. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Can someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. My life can strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night. And mostly voices say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to fight. But whether I'm supposed to be here or just be soon forgotten, noise is sort of based on what I see here, and also on what I avoid. It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles, and today we run out of time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Will someone buy us some more time? Cloudy day in Los Angeles, cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say, something to say. Okay, that was good. I didn't fuck that one up. It's a miracle and a glory hole. It's a mirror glory hole. Well, let's try Wonderful, Wonderful Kitty since it's my newest song. Try that one again. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. Wonderful, wonderful kitty, such a fabulous off friend. Well, now it's wonderful kitty petting time again. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's petting time, and hey, for wonderful kitty, having wonderful times. Always cleaning yourself, making sure you got clean lines. But your wonderful kitty is a fabulousness I've never encountered before. And I know that I want to pet my kitty some more. Just let me pet you, don't walk away. It's petting time. Hooray! Santa Ana's from the east blowing, driving on his mountain bike. Grand Atlanta had best be going, they cut it down to the wire. And everywhere apocalypse sung heavy, the truck was piling up with ash. And I got the dogs in the Chevy, cranking it out their petty cash. If times are ending, then time is bending. While the dogs knock out with Grant exhausted, Lana stays awake to cry. 120 out but Labor Day, and that means cooking meat outdoors. La 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 la. Got distracted and fire got away. From Bradford to Arcadia, they curse his name. Fire chased them west and down the incline until they reached the foothills below. Found a room cheap for the night online. At least now they had someplace to go. Tomorrow they'd evaluate their options now that their life had burned away. Lana's sister has a place in Laughlin. Not really any more to say. If times are ending, then time is bending. Flames rain down from the sky. While the dogs knock out with Grant exhausted, Lana stays awake to cry. While the dogs knock out with Grant exhausted, Lana stays awake to cry. While the dogs knock out with Grant exhausted, Lana stays awake to cry. I feel like somebody punched me in the poo. When I was younger, it seemed that everything gleamed. I don't know what happened to me, but I've lost that sense of urgency, and I don't think that I'll ever see it again. If you follow my lead, you'll discover I'm loster than you, and you'll want to know the way to get back out to wherever it was you thought you knew. Tomorrow will be just like today. I'll be lost then too. It's a matter of mood as much as a matter of will, and the things I do and the direction I point to still seem a part of me, though departedly. And I wonder if I'll ever see them again. Bum-ba-dee-da, ba-dee-da-dee-da, ba-ba-dee-da, da-da-doo. Bum-ba-dee-da, ba-dee-da-da-da, bo-ba-dee-da, da-da-da. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get to Marjorie's tater tots. Got a good idea for a name changing business, thinking how about what I call Christmas when they hired his firm to change that name. Gerald always thought there'd be chance enough to return to the work a left rough. He'd get back to it eventually, but his visions piled up and his plans would interrupt all the work that started off so hopefully. Now his mind is back on his business, thinking changing fact list to list. Oh, how all of the people will shout his name. And Gerald knows he understands ever more clearly now. He won't provide explanation regarding the why or the how. He'll see you and know you from inside your heart. Exciting, delight. fighting, Gerald plays his part. And Gerald still knew there's too much to do. And he dropped time in the underview. Too much to rebut. So where now and what? Too much time nitpicking the skew. With you, Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot. Get to Marjorie's tasty spots. He's got a good idea for a name change of business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald has a thought. Just die, Eric, die before your poison poisons the world with its failure. Your failure is as deadly nightshade and its root of despair. Your musical failure is an affront to God. Why must you constantly play guitar like a clod? You know that God will disapprove the way you suck and don't play through. What the fuck is wrong with you? You deeply, 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 deeply offend God. God's not always fair. God's not super square in his accounting books, but this much I know. When he gives me that look, it's not a good sign, and soon I will be smitten with lightning, and that is something I would like to avoid. Living with chronic failure, there's no medication, not much of anything will help. Prayer or meditation. If failure is just your way, you'll continue failing every day. Depending now on how you fail, it could be a hell of a tale. If you don't feel right though, then you're wrong. You think this song needs to explain how someone could be both right as rain and wrong as things that are not rain, but sunshine that is just the same. You might be wondering how I can fail while also acknowledging that, well, God expects so very much of me. Well, you see, it's because I assume arrogantly that somehow something's gonna come together. Don't do the things that one would have to do to make the weather. Somehow assume the things that I will need will come to be for me, regardless of how I fail repeatedly. And wow, that's presumptuous. Who the fuck you think you are? Failure gets punished by smiting from God, oh yeah. ready to toss it and make explosions grand and alarming. Grand and alarming. I call that song Grand and Alarming. It's both grand and alarming, that's why. Not unlike the proverbial face of your mother. That song is very alarming. Okay, here we go. Let's play this song. See if we can get it right for once, for goodness sakes. Always get this song wrong. What's that part you get wrong? It goes to there. It goes to there. Right. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody had to show place the slab below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue, tears gnashing through. A holy slabs come to view. Unchangingly true and eternally new. But when the slope appears in charge today, options at large show other ways. Give each a chance now, once quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy cupping short. Too far along to turn around. Too far along to turn around. Next goes to A. Oh, Eric. Do I need to play another failure shame song? Obviously I do. Bucket of shame. Climb inside, Eric, if that's your name. You earned every mouthful of this rancid slime as punishment for this crime and your failure to do anything. So shame on you because you're totally lame. May all the mightiest forces of heaven bring shame upon my head. I have failed over and over, I wish that I were dead. But I remain still alive, singing this horrible, contrived thing that makes me want to puke. Perhaps if I bash my face with the guitar, I could be more successful with it by far than wasting everybody's time with this stupid fucking garbage called failure. But you know, I guess it's an OCD thing. I just have no choice but to fail continually. I'm trying 100,000 million years ago again. I fucked it up so badly. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody had to show place the slab below and let them go. They will start to grow. Nowhere to do and tears gnashing through. A hole of slabs come to view. Unchangingly true, eternally new. And when the slope appears in charge today, options at large show other ways. Give each a chance now, once quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy stopping short. Too far along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Fucking goddamn motherfucking piece of motherfucking shit failure fuck. You fucking failing fucking fuck. You're a fucking failure fuck. With your constant failure. Just fuck off. I will fuck off, but I'm not sure how. You just need to just be ashamed of yourself. I'll try. Try to muster as much shame as I can. Here's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. So now he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them. But every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied the chance to yell at them. Until the bridge brings a new approach. Sneakily he'll try to encroach up on the guilty, then perhaps he'll get the chance to yell at them. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory. Alright, I just can fail no more. That's all got down on my permanent record. And I have to live with it for the rest of my life. So I guess that's just justice right there is all that is. It's a just consequence from my abject and ongoing failure. Because they call me failure man. I'm practicing failure, can you join me? Hey, let's fail together so I don't have to fail alone all the time. Thanks, Lady Wolf. I appreciate that. I'm not digging for a compliment there. Okay, I'm genuinely mad at myself for for sucking, for being shitty. I'm mad at myself. Sometimes you get disillusioned with your own shit, right? It's like, you know what? Everything about Eric just smells bad right now. Sometimes you just get that mood, like, even when you do this perfectly, Eric, you're still just mediocre shit. It's fine. I don't have any, it's like the echoes of a behavior that used to be real that isn't anymore, I used to do that when I was drunk. When I was a drunk, I used to genuinely hate myself and beat myself up all the time. Now I just get frustrated with myself, I do ultimately talk about feels. Because my absolute values are FE, FI, NE, and NI. But I don't worry about other people's criticism of my music. Either it's at all accurate, in which case my music has failed, or it's not accurate at all, in which case it just seems like somebody's wrong to me. In other words, I will never defend my music But I will still be able to distinguish between generally feedback that's right or feedback that's wrong. The problem I have with music that I don't have with argumentation is if you care to pay enough attention to my music and you're intuitive, you'll be able to come up with good shit to critique about it. And I won't be able to win those arguments. You're right, that is kind of amateurish. You're right, that is kind of sucky, you know. So it's the difference between NI and TI, right? It's like nobody can defend against the NI truth. You can deny it as much as you want, but like when I listen to one of my, well, especially one of my less right now songs, in comparison to stuff that's well produced, I go, you just cannot deny the fact that your shit sounds amateurish, you know? It's too NI in front of my face. So when I'm feeling like that, then I want to freestyle stuff about failing. And I'm trying to like purge myself of it by just shitting on myself a bunch so that I can kind of shake loose this sense of I should be better. If I can just convince myself that I need to accept how shitty I am, then I can be pleasantly surprised when I'm pleased that I'm good. You see what I'm saying? When I'm doing that kind of stuff, I'm at the particularist level. And almost always when I'm playing music, I am. I do have opinions about my music and my songwriting in comparison to other people's or whatever, blah, 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 right? But in the particularist moment, I'm either feeling like I'm nailing it exactly as it's supposed to be, or I'm failing, and either my own songs are feeling inspired to me, or they're feeling stale. And so then when I sort of like go off on myself like that, it's like I'm trying to reset my expectations, I guess. So that I can be happy with my own stuff again. If I could, yeah, basically, if I go into listening to my own stuff, assuming it's fucking shitty garbage, then I'm pleasantly surprised when I listen to it. If I go into it like feeling really good and proud of it, then I always end up going like, actually, now that I listen to it a little bit more, I can see it's hard for me not to be biased about my own music. It's hard for me to listen to my own music like I listen to other music and make an objective comparison between the two. And that has to do with SI instead of NI. I'm an SI type. Why do I feel like what? Why do I feel like a big failure? I don't really feel like a big failure exactly. I just feel like, like that guy once said. He's, I forget what his name is, but I copied this quote from him. Some days you get up and you look in the mirror and you just say, not this guy again. This guy again? More of this guy? Do I get to be somebody else for a change? I mean, Rhinus, the thing is, you don't need a lot of high quality gear or anything really to make good sounding music, although it doesn't hurt and can help a lot. But what I really need is I need a producer to produce me. A good producer to produce me. I don't care if they've got high quality shit or whatever, as long as the outcome is good, that would be great. But what I mean by I need a producer to produce me is I really need somebody, ideally, producing me here. I need to work with somebody in the same space in real time, or I can go there. But the point is, I don't think it's something I can do remotely. Yeah, I need something like that. Right, I need a TE person. I mean, I do feel things. Oh yeah? You produce music? Oh, you want to try to produce me? Where do you live? Are you on the West Coast? I mean, the thing is, here's the deal. To some extent, everybody, it seems like, produces music, right? So, I've been producing music for a long time now, and I know how hard it is, and I'm pretty good at it, but not great at it, you know? So, what I'm looking for is somebody who's better at producing music than I am, and I'm not bad, right? Drummer would be great. I have a drummer who I can work with remotely sometimes, Rusmus, but again, what I really need is local people. Because, you know, here's the thing. I firmly believe that if I could put together a good, tight band with an acoustic guitar, an electric bass, and drums, plus Rachel singing, and me singing, and playing the acoustic guitar sometimes, usually, and having an electric guitar that's playing what I'm telling him to play, you know, and a bassist that's telling him what I'm telling him to play, and a drummer who knows what the right beat for things is, because I've found that one way or another, I have to start with what the drummer wants to do with the beat, and then go, no, I don't think that's quite right. If I like working with the drummers where I don't ever have to say that, ideally, because I don't feel like I'm the best judge of what's the right beat for a given song. It's always been an issue that's a little tricky for me. It doesn't seem to come very naturally to me to intuit what the right beat for a song is. So, it's just a weak spot for me, you know? It used to be that for a short time that I wanted to collaborate with people musically around the channel and stuff. But what I realized fairly quickly is that most people suck ass. And they might suck ass in one of a number of possible ways, but like, I'll put it this way. When I'm recording, like, say, a guitar part over drums to record a song, I do my best to be as precise as I can in terms of rhythm. That's the tricky thing, right? It's easy to be precise of getting the right notes. The challenge is being right in the fucking pocket, you know? So, no matter how hard I try when I'm recording, I still always have to end up going down to the note level and move notes around because I'm just not that perfect. Most people are less perfect than me, and I would like to play with people who are more perfect than me. So I want to have control of my own band. Well, I did that before, and it wasn't. It's not really a TE thing per se. It's an SE thing. In other words, I want to have my own band for the same reason I want to have my own YouTube channel, because I've got stuff to say, perform, whatever, that I want people to see. Now, the SE part is a high SE requirement to get a band together. So I did have one for a while. I was talking with Famous People Band. We played one show, and then I just couldn't sustain keeping everybody together and making the practices happen. Shit was going on in my life, and it just, that was it, you know. If I were to make a band now, it would be substantially better than that band, and that band was pretty damn good. But it would be substantially better than that band now because I have better songs, and I'd be playing songs and not sort of like quirky Eric rock shit, you know. Where do you live, Legends? Well, you don't live near me either, do you? Hi, Andre. How are you? Okay, well, you know what this means. It's time for me to go. Andre's here. I gotta leave. No, that's not really why I gotta leave. I gotta leave because I got a video. It's not premiering, but publishing right now. And I am remembering Ontario, California? Boy, that's very close to me. What? Ontario, Canada? Quit getting out of gay-ass... Quit being in gay-ass Canada. Well, see, this is the thing, Isaiah Smith. In my 20s, I was in a band called Puppy Bus, and I was extremely ENTP about the whole thing in my understanding of it, which was very egalitarian, and that everybody owned what they got to play. Nobody was the boss, right? And the problem is, of course, that's how you make shitty music. The thing is, now I know how to make good music. So I'm able and willing to do the things necessary to make good music. If you want to have a jam band, if you want to hear a band in which every member of the band is responsible for their own thing and there's nobody directing the bus, Kings of Leon is a perfect example. And of course, it's garbage. But the thing is, I had to be taught this NI frame of reference about music directly. I had an Infj, and I had long conversations about it. And he gave me little heuristics, and he, things like the hooky shit, Eric. It sounds familiar, but you can't say exactly where it's from. That's the part you want to keep, not throw away, idiot. Things like that I had to hear directly. I didn't get it on my own, I had to learn from an INFJ a lot of shit about aesthetics before I now have this understanding of a band. That because I now have a clear understanding of what I am trying to do aesthetically with my songs, and even that has come after many times practicing them before it really starts to settle in place exactly what it's supposed to be for me, because I'm an NE Dom. Nowadays, I would dictate to the other people what they're going to play. That doesn't mean I would not replace what I had in mind with something they wanted to do if I thought it was better, though. So, in other words, if they have ideas, I'm open to them completely. I'm just saying, for a lot of my songs, they're compositions. They're not just songs. I know what guitar part 1 should do. I know what guitar part 2 should do. I know what vocal part 1 should do, what part 2 should do, bass line should do. The only thing I don't have in my head usually is what the drums should do. Oh no, that's the worst case Ontario. It's a funny one, Fly Guy. Okay, I gotta go because I gotta type somebody at 10. And I want to watch that little video they published before then. Thanks for being here. I love you all with my heart.